Hey guys, Barnyard here from freefaucet.io, and today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin ABC and Bitcoin SV. We're going to be talking about mainly the technical specifications and the differences between the blockchains and the consensus rules. We're not going to be talking too much about the drama surrounding Bitcoin ABC and Bitcoin SV, but we'll talk a little bit about it just so you have an overall idea of what's going on. Mainly this video is going to be talking about the differences between Bitcoin SV and Bitcoin ABC. Okay, so first of all, what are Bitcoin SV and Bitcoin ABC? Well, they're hard forks from the Bitcoin Cash blockchain, and basically there are two main players. There is Roger Ver and Craig Wright. Now, Craig Wright is self-proclaimed Satoshi Nakamoto. He claims to be one of the first Bitcoin developers and also the guy behind the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto, who is of course the guy who invented Bitcoin. So Craig Wright, along with the Bitcoin SV programmers and community, believe that they should change the block limit, the block limit size of a block on the blockchain up to 128 megabytes. And this goes against Bitcoin Cash's main team, who believe that this shouldn't happen and the Bitcoin Cash protocol should stay mainly the same. And this is where we found a hard fork where Bitcoin Cash turned into Bitcoin ABC and Bitcoin SV. And we're seeing a lot of hostility between these two chains and a lot of back and forth, and really an overall war between the Bitcoin SV community and the Bitcoin ABC community. So Bitcoin ABC proponents stand for not changing the Bitcoin Cash protocol really at all, but Bitcoin SV plan to change the protocol quite drastically and have done by changing the block limit up to 128 megabytes. So the reason Bitcoin SV changed the block limit up to 128 megabytes is because they think that this will increase the scalability and efficiency of the network. Whereas Bitcoin ABC do eventually want there to be absolutely no block size limit at all, and they want to let the miners decide what the block limit should be. So Bitcoin SV proponents say that this actually is a dangerous idea because it could lead to what's known as a poison block. And essentially what that means is, let's say that you make a block that is 10 megabytes in size. Everyone could probably accept this because 10 megabytes isn't very big, so all the miners should be able to accept and validate that block, no problem. But let's say that there's a block that is a gigabyte, for example. Well, this might be a little bit less easy for some miners to validate because of the sheer size. If you're running something very small, a node on a very small piece of hardware, such as a Raspberry Pi or something like that, accepting really big blocks might be more difficult for you. So at some stage, there's going to be a situation where the block is so big that only, let's say, maybe 50% of the miners can actually validate that block. And if that does happen, we could see a fork, an accidental fork between two chains where only half the miners are actually able to validate that size block, and that would mean that the other half don't validate it and they sort of go off in their own separate directions. Another problem that we're seeing with Bitcoin SV is because there are such big blocks now allowed on the blockchain, 128 megabytes, the blockchain is getting massive super quickly. So on Bitcoin, you can see 1 megabyte blocks, so that is the cap at the moment, and yet the Bitcoin blockchain is hundreds of gigabytes in size. So imagine if Bitcoin SV became as popular as Bitcoin, we would see a blockchain that is 128 times bigger than the Bitcoin blockchain, which at the moment is just unfeasibly big. So at the moment, Bitcoin ABC and Bitcoin SV are both competing to be the main Bitcoin Cash blockchain. And this is a real problem for Bitcoin miners and people using the both of the blockchains, because what can happen is if one chain gets bigger and then another chain gets bigger and then another chain gets bigger, we're going to be seeing a lot of orphaned blocks where people are attempting to mine on the correct blockchain, but then getting cut off when these blockchains overtake each other and become the main Bitcoin Cash blockchain. And basically, when a block gets orphaned, all of those transactions that happen in that block are discarded. And so some transactions that people are trying to do on the blockchain just go missing and aren't fulfilled. And this could mean people could lose a lot of money potentially, particularly people that are using this cryptocurrency on exchanges and things like that. If these blocks are getting orphaned a lot, people can actually game the system and pretend to do transactions that eventually get orphaned, and then they get their money back and maybe don't have to pay for a good or service that they initially paid for. And this is something that we've seen actually quite a lot on both of the blockchains when things have been reshuffled. And we've seen on the Bitcoin SV blockchain some really big reshuffles of up to 5 and 6 blocks more than once in the last few months. So this is a real big problem for both miners and also people wanting to transact on these blockchains, because it makes them less secure and also means that you could actually potentially lose your cryptocurrency in a certain transaction. So what's next for Bitcoin SV? Well, actually they're thinking of implementing 2 gigabyte blocks instead of the 128 megabytes that they have now. They did initially say that they were going to raise this cap to 512 megabytes, but now they're saying they're going to raise it even higher to 2 gigabyte blocks. They've also said they want to completely remove this cap in February 2020 and allow to have unlimited size blocks similar to what ABC would like to do in the future as well. Another thing that is different between Bitcoin SV and Bitcoin ABC is that Bitcoin SV want to reintroduce the op-return opcode, which will allow people to invalidate outputs on the blockchain. And this can be used in a multitude of ways, such as making more secure stealth addresses, but also as a way of doing data storage on the blockchain. And a lot of people are not happy with people doing data storage on the blockchain, as they believe that the Bitcoin blockchain should be used purely for transactions. But I guess that is another reason why you might want to choose Bitcoin ABC instead of Bitcoin SV. One final interesting thing to note about this cryptocurrency war is a lot of the major players in the crypto space have actually gone as far as threatening to delist Bitcoin SV, or even have actually gone as far as delisting Bitcoin SV completely. So it seems that Bitcoin ABC is winning the war of the hash power at the moment, and we're also seeing a much bigger difference in the cost of Bitcoin ABC compared to Bitcoin SV. Bitcoin ABC currently is about twice as expensive as Bitcoin SV. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays in the future. We're actually seeing in the last couple of days Bitcoin SV make a little bit more ground. It actually went up 12% today, so that's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where both those coins are in the future in the next 6 to 12 months. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. We're actually going to be listing Bitcoin Cash on freefaucet.io in the near future. So make sure to go into the description and check out freefaucet.io if you'd like to get some free cryptocurrency 3 times a day. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe as well. That really helps us out and it really helps me out on this channel grow in the community as well. So thank you very much for liking and subscribing to this video. And once again, thank you very much for watching.